What's up, everybody? Welcome into yet another edition of the Baseline Jumper podcast. My name is Jason Goldstein, and I know over the past 3 years, I've always had a punny or corny or dad joke-ish intro for my beloved partner. But we're going to address the elephant in the room right off the bat. This is going to be our final show. We'll get more into that at the end. We do have a NBA Finals to break down before we say goodbye, but I am punless for the final time. I introduce my friend, my brother, my compadre, Mr. Benjamin McDonald. Ben?
I'm very verklempt right now. Very emotional. It's an emotional day here at the Baseline Jumper. It feels like the end of an era, you know? I wonder if this is what Michael Jordan felt like when he walked off the court after that second three-peat. Is this what he felt like? Did he feel like he was going out on top of the world? Because you know what, Jason? There's nowhere I'd rather be than podcasting by your side, virtually, of course, because we follow COVID protocol, so we're not actually by each other's side. But virtually, that is a place I will never leave, my friend. And it's been a hell of a ride. We went from Double G Sports to In the Zone Sports and everywhere in between. We had an interesting meeting where I was sort of encroaching by accident on your Nets turf, and now the Nets have Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. How far we've come.
We have come a long way, definitely. I don't even know, man. It's funny. After 3 years, we've never done the show in person. It has always been on Skype or Zoom or Google Meet as of recently, and yeah, we've met a few times. We have never actually sat down and recorded a show together. So maybe, next time we visit, we could just do like a little bonus episode where Ben is reviewing his latest recipes and I talk about my favorite crochet matchups. I don't know.
We'll have to also keep our bets going. We've had, do we have an open bet still? I feel like we actually have still an open bet for the yard or something.
I probably owe you something. I'll get you a nice deluxe grilled cheese.
We have to do some NBA bets for some burgers or something like that. But man, it's been fun. But we'll do a full kind of goodbye, I guess, at the end of the show. I mean, we can't ignore too much the fact that we also just watched an NBA Finals that. It was a pretty important NBA Finals for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's the first bubble finals. LeBron gets his fourth ring. And some people, Zach Lowe, for instance, have said this is a game changer for the LeBron-Michael Jordan debate. There's all the things that go with the Heat. There's a lot of places to go with this, Jason. I mean, where do you want to start as far as how this finals went and what it means?
Well, I think it's fair to start by saying this was the most unprecedented year in NBA history. You had all these expectations, star power, last summer's player movement. No one could have ever possibly imagined the year that were to come. You had LeBron and Anthony Davis and all these superstar team-ups, Westbrook and Harden, Kawhi and Paul George. You had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving yet to take the court. But when you lose Kobe Bryant in January, and then the whole coronavirus pandemic that we're still going through, and that the NBA took over a full calendar year to crown a champion, they pulled off the bubble after a 4.5-month layoff. I mean, this was the strangest NBA season we've ever been a part of. And, hats off to the NBA for completing it. So I think we start with, just having to get that out there. But this was for Kobe, man. Like, I said this to you after we discussed Kobe's passing in that tragic plane accident. I said, this is the Lakers year. We may have our predictions. You like the Sixers. I like the Clippers to win it all. We have Milwaukee. But this was LA's championship to lose, and they brought it home for Kobe.
It's so true. And the Kobe part of it is really funny because obviously Anthony Davis, he kind of mentioned that. And, it's pretty interesting in a lot of ways because, I'm sure you remember this, but when LeBron came to the Lakers, they had the Kobeeites of Los Angeles who were very upset when people were painting murals of LeBron and were welcoming him, saying he's not a Laker, he's not a real Laker. And then last year when he didn't perform very well, a lot of those Lakers fans felt very vindicated in that. And a lot of the Kobe folks said, see, LeBron's overrated. And then for it to come full circle and have LeBron playing a memorial season almost for Kobe Bryant and saying, hey, this is kind of a dedicated thing for him is just really interesting for it coming full circle. And I mean, Jason, there's nowhere else to go here but LeBron. I mean, what do you make of LeBron's performance? He, yet again, was masterful in the finals. He's had his first two performances in the finals were not great. I mean, we can kind of call a spade here. His first, when he was with the Cavaliers, they were undermanned, played a Spurs team that was just way more talented than they were. It was a miracle for them to get here. He didn't play great. That was back in 2008, I believe. And then 2007, okay. 2007, and then 2011 against the Mavericks. And obviously that time he really underperformed. But since then, he's made a number of finals. He's made 3 more with Miami. They won 2, lost 1. With the Cavaliers, they made a number of finals, losing the first one to the Warriors while undermanned, then winning the next one. And then Kevin Durant arrived, and things just didn't really go well after that. And now he's there with the Lakers. So, I mean, to go through all this, he ends up all told 4 titles at 10 tries. I mean, what do you make of his performance? What do you make of his legacy out of this? And, maybe we even talk a little. Do you feel like he's caught up to MJ a little? But, what do you make of it?
I'll save my Jordan piece for the end of what I'm about to say. But LeBron, I don't know if you could say he turned back the clock, but he went into another gear. In 2019, missing the playoffs for, I think, only the second time in his career. He was injured. Had all those young pieces that went out in the Davis trade, and he had that entire offseason to himself, where he's usually in a deep playoff run, and he was preparing for this. They were doing everything they could to get Davis to L.A., but Anthony Davis aside, LeBron just was a man on a mission. He was away from his family for 95 days. I don't think any of his kids or his wife came into the bubble at all. He was just down there, straight business, ready to go, and he proved it. I mean, I picked against the Lakers in every early series, and then he proved me wrong against Portland, against Houston, really ramped it up against Denver. And then this finals, I mean, there's a reason why he's got 4 finals MVPs. I was very impressed with LeBron's performance. He showed why he's one of the all-time greats. But just to transition here, I don't think there's a LeBron-Jordan debate anymore. And I'm not going to say one is better than the other. Okay, they played in different times. Jordan was 6 for 6, where he dominated the NBA. It was a different style. Kobe was, I think, 5 and 2 in the NBA Finals, and LeBron is 4 and 6 and played like 9 straight years in the finals. From 2011 to 2019, LeBron was in the finals, and he won 3 of them. That's where most of his losses were. You said it. He ran into the Warriors. He ran into the Spurs twice, and the only one I will give him that he screwed up on was 2011, that first year with the Heat, but it was a learning experience. The fact that LeBron James has 4 rings now with 3 different teams, 4 finals MVPs in a 17-year career, he showed that he is creating his own branch on the NBA's Mount Rushmore, because he's not chasing Jordan's 6. Jordan won 3 in a row twice. This is a different animal, different beast that is today's NBA. The game has changed. And winning with 3 major franchises, one was for his hometown, Cleveland, 2 in Miami, which is a franchise predicated on winning. And then he got to win one with one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. So that debate to me is dead. It's done. It's just more impressive. Like, does he have one more in him? Can he get 5 now with 3 different teams? Then maybe you bring back, is he catching up to the 6 rings? But no, to me, he's creating his own path.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. I think one of the things that gets lost in this debate, and I have to think some more about it. I have to do a little bit more research on my own too, and rewatch and so on. We saw The Last Dance, but at any rate, I think one of the things that gets overlooked here is that it's not a demerit to bring a team to the finals who wasn't good enough to get there. And I think that that's something that we do sort of almost put in the negative column with LeBron. The team he brought in 2007 against the Spurs, they had no chance. There was no chance of them winning that finals. It could have been Michael Jordan. It could have been anyone. It wouldn't have mattered. There was too much talent on the other side. And I just think that he is someone who gets the most out of his teams every year. And that was true when he was in Cleveland the first time around. And he didn't have a single guy who was a real all-star. People would go, oh, Ben, but he played with Mo Williams. Like, yes, okay, Mo Williams may have made an all-star team. I'm not even sure if he did. Oh, but he played with Larry Hughes. Like, yes, he played with Larry Hughes. Great. Congratulations. Yes, he did. Oh, he played with Shaq. Shaq was 400 years old by the time he went to Cleveland. So let's be real here and understand that that Cleveland team was not any of the Bulls teams. If you compare that Cleveland team to one of the Bulls teams that Michael Jordan played on, it would be like the 1983, 1984 type variety where you have some guys with talent, you have some guys who are kind of over the hill, but you do not have a proper other star. And that first year with Jordan, there were some guys who were a little bit older. Orlando Woolridge was still solid, but it wasn't there. And LeBron really has had to deal with pretty talented NBA. The talent is more dispersed, so there aren't as many super teams kind of the way there were when Michael Jordan played. But towards the end of Jordan's career, that happened as well. If you look at the year that they won 72 games, that was with expansion. They were terrible teams. So I think all this is to say the question is hard because, as you said, they're not easy to compare. They played in different eras. And I think beyond saying, hey, it's kind of silly to take away points from LeBron for getting worse teams further and then losing because they were worse, you also have to consider the fact that the league is different. It's something that Zach Lowe pointed out that I think all of us would be good to remember is that, yes, the NBA is less physical, but also there are changes that make it more difficult for a single player to dominate than back then. The zone defenses that now are played make it that much more difficult for one player to go. And if you don't believe me, take a look at, you're right, it was 2007 he played there. 2008 was the year that the Lakers played the Celtics. Watch Kobe Bryant trying to dissect that defense in 2008. If you watch, you can see how difficult it is for one guy to go against a set defense in today's NBA. And that is not something that Michael Jordan ever had to play against. And this isn't points against him. It's just a different league now. You couldn't do that back then. That was an illegal defense. So, as you said, it's a little bit of apples to oranges. So, I don't know if there's an answer for this debate, but man, LeBron is a great player and just an absolute shining star. Nothing could be taken away from him. He's the best player of our era, if you will, given that Jordan really ended while we were in elementary school.
Well, Jordan aside, do you think LeBron is the best player to ever win multiple championships with multiple teams? Or at least a championship with multiple teams? Definitely three, because you can make the argument that, Shaq maybe won, with two teams, the Lakers and the Heat, but he wasn't the lead guy, Kareem. So, you could put LeBron up there because he did it with three franchises.
I think he's better than Kareem, but, this is the thing. I think the thing with LeBron that's hard to figure out is that he plays in such a different era. But the thing that I think you have to give him a lot of credit for is that he actually in many ways plays in a league where it's harder for guys to have such an outsized impact as a single player because there's so many ways to take them out. Look at Steph Curry against the Raptors last year. Nick Nurse broke out the box and won on him. He came out and said, we're just not going to let this one guy beat us. And you couldn't do that. You could not play that defense back in the day. And when Kareem played, the key was even smaller for part of that time. At the beginning of his career, I believe that the paint was actually smaller and they actually extended it. That might have happened just as he started, but there have been rules to stop those guys from being dominant. But they didn't take full effect. So I think that you have to give him a lot of credit. And I would say yes, but it's really difficult to compare LeBron James to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played in just a completely different era. I don't even know. I don't know LeBron